Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Playmakers. What's up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going through 5 players that I think you guys should sell high on going into week 5 of the NFL season. So these are players who I think are pretty close to their peak value, which means this is the optimal time to move them off your roster. While you guys are watching this video, if you're enjoying the content, please do me a huge favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. It could be any fantasy football related questions. And then if you want to see more videos, I already have my buy low trade candidates posted and my top waiver wire targets. So go check those out as well. But let's get started with my first sell high. And I'm going to get some heat on this one. I already know it, but it is going to be Robert Woods. And trust me, I am not a Robert Woods hater. I absolutely loved Robert Woods coming into the season. He was my wide receiver 13, so I was very, very, very high on him. And he absolutely balled out in week 5, which is why I do think this is a good time to sell high. It was awesome that he finally saw a ton of usage. He was targeted 14 times, 12 receptions for 150 yards, and everyone saw that performance. It was on Thursday Night Football, and so if you didn't have Robert Woods on your team, you were probably aware that he wasn't off to a super hot start, but then maybe you see Thursday Night Football, some of your league mates are watching, and they just see Robert Woods feasting. It's very possible they just totally forget what happened the first few weeks of the season, and I've seen a lot of talk about, oh, Robert Woods is back, and this is definitely a step in the right direction, but I do not think it's fair after one solid game to just totally discount the first 4 weeks of the season. And so if people are willing to do that and just prop Robert Woods up to his pre-draft value, Robert Woods owners need to capitalize on that right away. I just don't think he's going to be performing up to the level that he was drafted at, and we really just cannot overreact to 1 week. Here's a really crazy stat. So weeks 1 through 4, Woods had 15 receptions for 102 receiving yards. He almost reached both of those numbers just in week 5 alone. So week 1 through 4, 15 receptions. Week 5, he had 12. Weeks 1 through 4, 172 receiving yards. He had 150 in week 5. And so I'm just going to be running through a list of players that I would trade Robert Woods off my team for just straight up. So some of these may seem obvious, some of these are not, but everyone values players differently. So Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley, Mike Williams, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, Jamar Chase, Deontay Johnson, A.J. Brown. I would just be sending out these straight up offers all over the place. And I really want to know what you guys think down below in the comment section on Robert Woods. He's a very polarizing player. I know a lot of people who drafted him are probably super excited to see him perform well. But do you guys think this is a good time to sell high? This isn't a super cut and dry thing. I could totally see an argument from the other side where you say, Robert Woods has shown he's very dependable, very reliable the last 3 years of the NFL season. So you could maybe say, that's like a 48 game sample size if he was injured a few games. Even say just like 40 game sample size of him putting up solid numbers. So, me using a 4 game sample size to say he's underperforming may not be fair, but the reason why I'm using that 4 game sample size is because this is a very different offense. Matthew Stafford is the quarterback. That is a huge change. I personally don't think you can just discredit that, but I do want to hear your guys' thoughts down below because I could see, the path to people thinking Robert Woods is someone you should hold. So let me know down below, but personally, I do think if I have him on my teams, I'm going to be selling high on him if I have not already sold him. The next guy I'm selling high on is Myles Gaskin, and it has just been a roller coaster to own Myles Gaskin. First 3 weeks of the season, he's all right. Nothing crazy, not lighting it up, but not totally losing you weeks. Then he basically goes from being benched in week 4, still makes no sense, to then being the number 2 overall running back in PPR here in week 5. He scored 31.9 PPR points this week after only scoring 31.9 PPR points in the first 4 games of the season. So this Sunday, he equaled his production from the first 4 weeks of the season. And personally, I think Myles Gaskin is clearly the top running back in this backfield. I think he's the most talented, but I don't have any faith that the Dolphins are going to use him that way. I have no faith that we go into week 6, week 7, week 8, and Myles Gaskin is the RB1. It's crazy to say, but there's kind of this, long time argument. Is it talent or is it opportunity? Normally it's somewhere in between, but here we have Gaskin, who I think does have the talent. It's just, will he be given the opportunity to perform? I just don't know if he will. Also, if you're just looking at the game script of this Buccaneers game, the matchup, it really was just a perfect setup for Gaskin to explode in the receiving game because he did only have 5 carries, but he caught 10 passes. It makes sense. This Bucs front is great. They do not allow anything in the run game, so they're going to be throwing the ball a ton. They were also down basically the entire game. Gaskin is the best receiving back, but I think if you can sell him to someone who's overreacting to this big week 5, I would do it because I would still have some concerns throwing him into my lineup even as soon as next week. It's just crazy how you can go from 1 week where you're benched and the next week you're going crazy, but that's what happens. And that's why I feel a little bit uneasy because what's just stopping the Dolphins from going out and going with Malcolm Brown or Salvon Ahmed here in week 6? I'm going to move on to another running back, Damien Williams, who did a great job filling in for David Montgomery here on Sunday. Bears got a win over the Raiders. Williams carried the ball 16 times for 64 yards and a touchdown, added 2 receptions for 20 yards. So just a really solid overall game. That's 16.4 PPR points. And this is kind of advice for teams with a winning record. So if you have a winning record, it looks like you're going to make the playoffs, you've got a solid team, you just kind of need to keep it going, then I would definitely try to move Williams to a team that's struggling. One of the teams in your league is going to need a running back right now, even if it's just for a short period of time, because they're kind of just trying to stay afloat. His value is totally at a max right now, and it will continue to decrease every single week for the next 4 to 5 weeks until David Montgomery comes back, and then basically he's like a waiver wire caliber player. That's why in the leagues where I have Damien Williams, I'm trying to ship him off as soon as possible because that value is just on a constant line down, and it will continue to be for the next few weeks. The next player kind of follows a similar argument here, and it's Chuba Hubbard, but I mean, this is even more urgent because I'm expecting Christian McCaffrey to be back in week 6. If not week 6, then week 7, probably at the latest. Chuba had a really nice game, put up 18.4 PPR points on Sunday, and I would just be sending offers to every single team and just hope one of your league mates isn't totally locked in on Christian McCaffrey's return, because if, they're remembering the injury, it looked pretty bad, he was ruled out right away, he could still technically be missing 2, maybe 3 weeks if someone isn't totally locked into the news. So I would just be trying to squeeze as much possible value as I could out of Chuba Hubbard because he'll basically become the same thing as Damien Williams, a waiver wire caliber player, or basically at best a handcuff for Christian McCaffrey moving forward. And now we are on to my last sell high player, and it's going to be Kadarius Toney. And I want to start it off with saying that I've loved what I've seen out of Toney. I did not like him as a prospect. I did not think he was a good pick. He still may not be a good pick just because I don't think that was a huge need for the Giants. But his production has been great the last 2 weeks, but it is definitely not sustainable moving forward. In the first 3 games of the season, the Giants had a mostly healthy wide receiver core, and Toney only recorded 4 receptions for 14 yards. Basically, he was just phased out of the offense. He was wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, just not getting any looks. Then in weeks 4 and 5, there are all these injuries to the wide receiver room. In those 2 games, he goes for 16 receptions and 275 total yards. So he totally balls out. And moving forward, when those guys are healthy, I still think he's 100% going to have a role in this offense, but it is not going to be anywhere near what he's been doing right now. I don't think he's going to be the number 1 moving forward. You still have Shepard, you have Galladay, you have Slayton. All those guys are injured. And if you're able to kind of make the argument that Darius Slayton is this breakout rookie, he finally got his opportunity, he's going to hold this role for the rest of the season, keep balling out, then I think you're going to be able to trade him for more than he's worth, and I would definitely be looking to move him. But that is going to wrap up my 5 sell highs for this video. If you guys enjoyed the content, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. But thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.